What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing? How's everybody? I'm gonna be on cam in a second. I had something that just happened with my cam, so I gotta troubleshoot it real quickly. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this show started while I'll do that. Let me go ahead and introduce the crew for today. We got Miss Callie, Bond, Hint, Miss Taken, Amir, True Blue, Brittany Gold. How's everybody? I see Brittany and Brittany took hers off. Like y'all had the shades going on. Well, not shades, the frames.
That's because I can't see.
Okay. So those prescription, not fashion. Okay. All right. Let me just. Somebody fell off. Who was that? That might have been Callie. I'm gonna wait till she come on. It's good to see you guys. Happy Wednesday. Hopefully you guys are having an amazing Wednesday thus far. Sorry, having issues with the cam. Okay, she having issues with her cam. Let's see what we got in the chat. What's going on, Fishing the Fit? How you doing? AP Accountability Partner, which was also sponsored for last night's show. Thank you. He says, hope this is more productive than a conversation last night. The Kings disappointed me last night. He's referring to King Talk. Hink was causing a lot of disruption up there yesterday. So HR had to get in contact with him this morning. He's been removed from service off of King Talk. Pending investigation. So I'm hoping Hink has his union rep present for the investigation so that we can see if we're gonna have to fire him, basically, I guess. Dub Will, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Mic check, Callie.
Yes.
Okay, we got you loud and clear.
Okay, perfect.
All right, I got to work on my cam too. If you guys haven't already hit that like button, also make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you are catching this on a replay, do me a favor, hit that like button and also make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. With that being said, we got an excellent show here for you guys. You know, Wednesday, we like to try to get in and out. You don't like to beat around the bush. So we got a couple of topics that I thought would be entertaining. And maybe we might be able to pull some from it so that we can add all in together to our own personal life. This first clip that I want to run, this was a conversation that happened. You guys familiar with TK Kirkland? Okay. So he was at the end of this podcast. I guess they thought the podcast was over, but a conversation, they was talking about child support, the history of child support. Let me see what else they was talking about. We got Viz. Let's welcome Viz to the show, you guys. Yeah, Viz likes to make a fashion interest. So as soon as he turn the camera on, we are typically surprised in what his choice to outfit is. We don't know if he's gonna have a fitted hat on, or we don't know if he's gonna be in a two-piece suit. You just never know with Viz, man. He's just that guy. So shout out to Viz again. All right, with that being said, again, we're gonna be checking the end of this conversation out. So this is TK Kirk. He had a response to a woman that was on the panel, and she pays her ex-husband X amount of dollars in alimony. So I thought that was interesting. We don't typically see men paying alimony. Do you guys see a lot of men paying alimony? Is that more common than I think? Or is it something that
you mean women pay?
Yeah.
Women don't typically pay alimony.
Okay, they don't typically pay. Okay.
Yeah.
Women receive alimony.
Okay. So when does a woman typically receive alimony? When she's just bringing in that dough?
If she was a housewife, then she receives alimony. If she makes more than him, and she changed his lifestyle for a significant amount of time, the courts will order that she pay alimony so that he doesn't suffer a lifestyle change too drastically.
And so when women pay alimony, it's the same thing, just in reverse order, right? Okay. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and run this clip. probably stop in between, do a little bit of commentary, and then we'll go ahead and react to it and see what our thoughts are. Here we go.
Exactly. Oh, good interview. Good interview. Good interview.
So nice to meet you.
So you got a kid?
No, well, my exes might as well be my child. I pay alimony.
Oh, you got caught up, huh? So he got you.
Yeah.
He got you.
Good.
Yeah.
Got a good.
Yeah.
Got a
Yeah,
good.
he got you.
Bad.
I don't know whether to be happy or
I mean, happy because I got out of it.
no,
quickly.
happy for the nigga.
Oh, I'm
See,
so glad you didn't say that on
Shit,
the
he
podcast.
came up on $500,000.
Yeah, I'm happy for the nigga. Yeah.
Why? Why?
Because it's good sometimes for the man to win. See the
Why?
But you see what
When
I'm
he's
saying?
a fully capable, when he's an adult, older than me, fully capable of working, a licensed professional, but used the system to come up, took advantage of me. You okay with that?
No, just because it's you personally, no. But watch what I'm about to tell you.
Tell me.
Women been doing it to men since the beginning
That
of
doesn't
time.
make it right.
Oh, yes, the fuck it.
I don't agree with you taking advantage of a system because it's there.
No.
I don't agree with that.
Only
Damn, we should have did this on the show.
Cameras are still rolling.
Yeah, only because it's you, I'm concerned. Because we have a relationship now. Or if it was my daughter, I would be concerned. But the fact is, it's a system that's there to be taken advantage of.
So I don't think that she realizes that this is being recorded. I'm not sure how she feels. She may be embarrassed. I believe this clip went viral, and you can see the cameraman trying to adjust this to make sure he get this additional content, which I see sometimes. Sometimes some of the best conversations happen off cam before the podcast start and after the podcast start.
You
These are the
should
facts.
because you can. Is that what you're saying?
If you, I'm at the point in life, however the cards play out for you, and the way you lay your head down on the pillow at night, you got to be happy. If that means he had to do what he had to do to get you, I'm sorry that he did that shit. Listen to me. I'm sorry, darling.
You say you're anti-child support. You gotta be anti-people
I'm
taking
sorry.
advantage of the
I'm
system.
sorry that happened to you. But I guarantee as you move forward through life, you'll never make that motherfucking
Well, I
decision
never
again.
would. It's the most expensive mistake I made.
That's my point about the same stuff I was saying about life. The same thing I looked.
It's crazy. When y'all started talking, I looked at Rachel. I thought she was still wearing the ring.
Oh my God, no.
I
Yeah,
thought the ring was-
I'm,
Oh, okay.
I'm talking. So what I'm saying
I need
is,
to be saved now.
your experiences have taught you
TK
of
right
who
there.
to stay away from and who to talk. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, you're right.
That's my point, love.
But that, I mean, we have to congratulate him.
No. As a G, salute that nigga. If I saw the nigga out buying, now like I said, but it's personal now because we family.
It's personal.
Now, we family now. We family. I feel sorry that happened for you.
Thank you.
You know,
was
but
a-
for
I
the
appreciate
system, oh, that's one for the fucking crew.
There
Salute
are a lot of people who think like you. There are a lot of people who
Salute
do.
that nigga. God damn.
Donnie, did you get all of that?
Yeah, we've been rolling.
Okay.
I love it.
I want that cut out as a social breakout before the interview. I want
All right,
to
I
post
got
that
you.
today.
What you want to post?
What y'all just talking?
Because it's a big deal. Because he's not black, too, by
He's
the
a
way.
white belt.
Oh, even better. What? Good for him.
Get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
Oh,
All I took
shit.
from that is that you rejoice in the downfall of women.
Get that on tape.
Rejoices in the
Get
downfall
that
of
on
black.
tape. Hell no.
All I heard.
She talk about domestic violence. She let a white motherfucker cripple to the game and got a fucking half fucking million. Who raised you?
Federal judge.
Oh my God.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it, man. I want to get you guys' reactions about that. I'm gonna start with True, man. What are your thoughts? I seen you over there smiling the whole entire time, man. How do you feel about what was just played?
Look, man, under normal circumstances, speaking from what I believe is the ideal male answer, that's not manly. That's what's expected. However, I think this is good because what it's starting to show is that this whole system has been effed up and jacked up for a long period of time. And now that the tables are turning to where women are starting to share in the economic success that is our system, it comes with the weight. It's not just the benefit, it's the responsibility. So I personally think it's great because it'll have them now thinking twice and then starting to kind of see what we've been saying all along, that there shouldn't be a demise that way. So it warms my heart. And I digress.
Wow. Warms your heart. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Brittany. What are your thoughts about the clip? I think Brittany might have a delay based off the way she's just set up.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. It was disgusting. His reaction. I'm glad she could laugh about her situation, but it's like, dang, like, really? I didn't like it.
What didn't you like about it?
It felt like, he was taunting her. And it's like, oftentimes, men want to say, oh, you knew who you was dealing with, or you got to make better decisions and all that. Yes, but like, why are you taunting the lady? She just lost a lot of money to a able-bodied man. And I get it happens to men all of the time, but like, I just felt like it was tasteless, his reaction.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Vaughn. What are your thoughts about it?
It didn't warm my heart.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of disgusting. I mean, I'm not sure how much. I mean, women may brag to their friends that they got alimony, but we don't do that. Like, it's just not right. I feel like men and women are doing the same thing these days because we are able to make as much as men are making now. So they out here to do the same thing. I actually watched that TV show, that reality show, and I watched the whole thing where they got married and they were together for a while. And at first I thought it was like, okay, he don't really want her. And then I thought like, okay, maybe he do, because he stayed with her for years just to get what he got. So I just think it's a setup on, men and women are doing this now. But I definitely didn't like how he taunted it and just displayed it on.
All right. Go ahead, Brother Hink. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I see. Seem like the ladies don't like it. It ain't no fun when the rapper got the gun. I mean, that's what it seemed like. But I'm sure some of you ladies have fellow friends or maybe family members who was able to benefit or maybe even come up on a situation like this. Look, it happens, man. It happens. It's not against the law. He didn't break the law. He didn't do anything legally wrong. He did everything within the frame of the law. So, I mean, we can't be mad. We may not like it because you think it's distasteful because he, laughed and joked at the woman. But at the end of the day, unless you've been on the other side, you will have no idea how it really feels. You know what I'm saying? You work so hard for so long, and then all of a sudden this woman who things could not work out between us, all of a sudden she gets some of my pension, or she gets a portion of whatever I bring home every month. It's like, damn, I mean, we both been working. We both out here grinding, but why just because I make a few more dollars than her that she's entitled to take what she's able to take? I mean, that's the law. And men have to accept it. So ladies, shoes on the other foot, you guys got to accept it. It is what it is. So.
All right, go ahead, Callie.
What I find most distasteful about this is that he's laughing on someone else's downfall and someone that he calls family or friend. And I think that anybody that is in my circle that laughs at my downfall or laughs at something that is done to me that is impacting me in a major way, such as that, I cannot call you friend or family, because I would not do the same to you, man or woman. Another thing I found distasteful is that I get it. This happens to men all the time, and it's not right just because it happens to men, and it's not right because it happens to women. But at the end of the day, at what point are we going to have a system where we have to stop? This is more so for the system. It's like it's always, nothing's ever really changed until something drastic happens. At what point are we going to occupy that change, or demand that change, or something in place to where it's a little bit more of an equal playing field? However, this does happen a lot to men, and I get that. And so the situation has to be the same with women. But it's nothing to laugh at, and it's nothing to make fun of for somebody else, because you, at the end of the day, you can say, oh, she knew who she was getting into, but people are also good at wearing masks. People are also really good at playing in your face as if they love you and they care about you, but then the entire time they're sitting up there preying on your demise, or trying to figure out a way, and you won't even know it. And sometimes it's the person that's actually closest to you. So we also have to remember that as well. But at no point is it right to laugh at someone for something like that. That's the only thing that really got to me.
All right, go ahead, Amir.
I think that's, listening to the last lady, she said it's not okay to laugh, but she's on a podcast, and honest views are appreciated on podcasts, because people watch these type of podcasts because they want to hear truth. They want to hear raw truth. They don't want to hear the bull crap CBS. They can watch soap operas if they want to hear something fake. The truth is that man was laughing through pain. Men are laughing because it's painful on the other side. So men laughing at it is not really laughing so much at her, but it's laughing because it's almost like saying, finally, we get one. It's like we never get anything, and finally we got a lick. So that's a laugh, not of a humiliation, but rather it's a laughing through the pain situation. And I see it constantly in the court system, where men are having to pay alimony, spousal support, child support, all her medical bills, and so on and so forth. A man's paycheck sometimes is 70% taken, because that is the legal limit. Legally, they can't take more than 70% of a man's paycheck. So men go through this way too often. So yeah, it's not funny when the rabbit has a gun. It's really not. And I think it's kind of disingenuous to say that women don't laugh when they do the same thing. I mean, we have famous examples of this happening to women. Britney Spears, I believe Halle Berry, when she got her divorce, she had to pay alimony, because alimony is not just spousal support. Alimony is in regards to lifestyle. A person is rewarded alimony when they are taken from their lifestyle they lived previously to another lifestyle for a significant amount of time. If I grew up poor and you put me in the hills and you make me have this luscious life or luxurious life, and then after we divorce, I'm out on the streets again, I no longer know how to survive. I've been a housewife for you for 10 plus years. That is unfair in the court's view. So because of that lifestyle change, you are awarded alimony. It's not awarded to most people. Alimony is not something that is even common. So if that was rewarded to that man, then there was a significant life change for him that was worthy of an alimony settlement. Lastly, I had it on the top of my head. I'm sorry. Okay, I was talking about Britney Spears and Halle Berry, and I forgot my last point. So I'll just leave it there, I guess.
All right, Kelly, would you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. As I stated earlier, I stated that I get it, right? I'm not saying that, oh, women shouldn't give alimony. I mean, obviously the system was brought up for a specific type of reason, and that is fine. What isn't fine is laughing on either side. I never said it was, oh, women never laugh at the men. As a matter of fact, I said it's wrong to laugh at someone else's demise or someone else's downfall when you are claiming to be close with somebody. If I've been in the situations where I've had my own women friends had to pay certain things towards the man, and not one time did I sit up there like, oh my God, finally, or even vice versa. When other women have came up, I'd be like, all right, well, how long are you going to be on this? What's going to be your next move? Are you going to be on this for a long time? That's that and versa. The thing is, we all have to stop laughing at someone else because of their situation. Okay, cool. He came up. Great. Good for him. Okay. So are we going to keep doing this? Are we going to keep being like, ha ha ha, I got my lick back. Good sucks for you. But finally, you guys see. Or are we going to start being able to have actual discussions and conversations around a simple thing? Well, hey, I know this was like thing, but like this is what men go through, and actually gone and taken that time on a podcast such as that to actually give more insight, like, hey, like this is what people go through, and really share experiences or whatever the case may be. But to make a
No,
laughing stock out of her,
screw that. No, laugh. I think the men should laugh, and they should laugh hard. Laugh in front of their faces. Women have had years, decades, generations of doing this. I think the men deserve a couple of years of laughing. I do. I don't care about the feelings. I don't care that their feelings are hurt. I don't.
that's good for you, but at the same time, this is a human being, just like the men are too. I'm not saying you can't laugh. If he wants to laugh, great, that's on him. But at the end of the day, it's still like you're calling someone your friend and then laughing at her for not being for something that has nothing to do with you. As a matter of fact, like you're laughing at her, but you're like, I feel sorry for you, but I'm laughing at you. That doesn't make sense. It's contradictory. So at the end of the day, you want to laugh, go right ahead, but it's still wrong. Still like not cool to the person that may be going through something. And if the shoe was on the other foot and it was a dude and the girl laughed in his face that his ex came up, oh, she would have got heat. She would have got mad heat. And that would have probably been the topic on this podcast. And we would have had almost everybody in the chat downplaying her, calling all sorts of names. So it's like, at the end of the day, wrong is wrong. You can't sit there and justify it.
Okay. Let me get Miss Taken in on that. How you feeling about this, Miss Taken? What are your thoughts?
If I think about fairness just across the board, I know everybody's speaking more towards how the guy was acting with the laughing and all of that. I think everybody can agree that that was distasteful. But in regards to the paying alimony itself, is really based on who's making more money, right? So I think what's fair is fair. I think there's this, mindset still where we're trapped between tradition and modern living, so to speak. So is this idea behind, well, it makes sense if women get alimony, right? Because you're expecting the man to be the provider for, most of the time relationship. But now more and more you have women that are making, exceedingly more money than the men that they're with. And so if it's really based on who's making more money, then I think it's fair. Of course, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't like it, but it is fair. What I don't like though is, and this doesn't matter who, is that if you are able-bodied and you have skills to get a job, work, take care of yourself, I do not think alimony should be paid. Even if you become accustomed, to a lifestyle, you never had that lifestyle until you got with that person. And so I don't think it's fair that a man or a woman has to maintain someone's lifestyle. If you have skills where you can be employed and get a job and take care of yourself as an adult. You might be used to living in a mansion, but majority of people don't live in a mansion. So if you have to get an apartment and you can afford, that's what you can afford based on your skills, then you do that. The only thing that I do agree with is that if a woman or man, because now you do have stay-at-home dads, put their lives on hold in terms of building careers, and they are the ones that are the primary caretakers and taking care of the children, and they're not being able to add on to their employability skills during the course of the marriage, I do think that that is is a reason to receive alimony. Just on a quick thing that I looked, most divorces, you're not paying alimony, spousal support. It was saying is like maybe 10% of divorces. So that's one thing. And then on top of that, the vast majority aren't, because they're not making a significant amount of money in terms of that big gap. Typically, most people aren't making huge amounts of money where they will be required. And then it also said that it's only temporary. It's not necessarily for the rest of your life. There's a cutoff amount of time in which you would receive alimony. And that's typically if you need to build skills, they would have to pay out until you're able to do that, or just for a specified amount of time. So, I mean, Mary J, she was another one that had to pay. So it is what it is at this point. Just don't marry anybody that make that much more money than you.
Does a man receiving alimony make him smart or soft?
I think it's a mix, because like I said, we're stuck between the traditional idea of men being the providers and women being taken care of financially. So when you do see a man that utilizes the system the same way women utilize the system, we will have a tendency to be calling, oh, he a punk, he shouldn't do that, he's taking advantage, all of those things, because we see men as the ones that should be the ones paying women. But I mean, we're in a new age where, women are making that kind of money.
All right. Go ahead, chime in, Viz.
Oh, my bad.
We can't hear you on mute, sir.
Let him go ahead.
All right, I think he was responding. He already went already, but he just responded.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, one of y'all go. Go ahead, Hank.
Yeah, go ahead. I go. So the thing about it, it's okay. And y'all will be okay. Y'all will be at the divorce parties and knowing these women are about to automatically get this child support and they automatically get custody. See, there's no sympathy for the man with that situation. Fuck the money. The money's not important to most men. It's not even about it. But if there's some kid involved and that man don't get the opportunity to get custody of the kid, and the woman majority of the time gets custody of the kid, see, there's no sympathy for that man. Y'all don't have no heart out for that man. But you know when it's going to change? The law is going to change when more women suffer like this man, like this woman did. Once that happens, and they start to get a little lopsided, when it's more so men getting alimony than women get it, then it will change. But right now, too many women are still benefiting from this. So they're not going to complain. So the laws are not going to change it until they start suffering enough. When they start suffering enough, then a change will come. But not until then.
All right, go ahead, Viz.
So of course I'm catching the back end of this. So I'm assuming that this is an outrage for men receiving alimony.
Yeah.
What in this world that we want things to be, I don't understand why is it an issue? I mean, if we want things to be mutual or equal playing ground, then what's the issue with it?
There is no issue. That's why the system's there. The system's there so people that need it can get it. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you less of a person because you got some support that was meant for you in certain situations. There is nothing wrong with a man getting alimony, just like there's nothing wrong with a man seeking help and vice versa. It's when you purposely do it, for women too. to sit there and purpose. I'm not saying that's his case, right? Because I don't know the man, I don't know his story, and I'm not going to speak on it. But what I am going to speak on is anybody, man or woman, that uses the system to come as a come up, knowing that they never really had true intentions for the person in general. That is what's wrong. And that is what is wrong for even women that sit there and use these men knowing that they're having babies, or they're getting with this man, going to date him for a little bit, marry him for a little bit, divorce him, knowing that that's the plan, just to take half of what he has. That is wrong. That is the issue.
So the person that we're referring to is, did he file divorce, or did she file divorce?
I don't know. They were just talking about it. Like I said, I can't speak on their situation. I was just speaking on the general situation that happens. I don't know what their situation was.
Biz, they're mostly mad. Well, the reaction is coming because of the reaction of the gentleman. The gentleman started laughing and kind of praising the fact that the woman had to pay alimony. So I think you would have to see the video to understand.
Right. Okay, so what's wrong with him laughing in her face?
I think it felt like it was distasteful. It was very distasteful for him to laugh at this woman's pain.
Okay, I see. We're approaching it from a moral aspect. That's fair. I mean, divorce, of course, is extremely painful, a very painful experience for anyone to go through. I mean, but again, I think if she filed for a divorce and he's going for alimony, then I mean, hey, that's part of the game.
Is alimony more about fairness or punishment?
I think both.
I think usually everything set out for fairness is typically deemed as a punishment, because people like to abuse things. People like to take things that are meant for a positive reason and taint it. That's just a human nature.
That's certainly true.
Definitely.
Yeah, how is that unfair what he did? He it's within his legal rights. He didn't do anything wrong.
No, I'm not saying he did anything wrong. His question was, no, I said the question was, is alimony a punishment, or is it for fairness? I said it's meant for fairness, but there are people that take that and know it and try to abuse the system because of it. I'm not stating that that's what that man did. I'm saying that majority of people will take something that is supposed to be something of help and abuse the system for their own personal gain. And you see that a lot with people, where you'll get like some type of, hey, we're going to give you guys this, or anybody that needs help with this. And then they'll go and then they'll create this whole lie around it just to get whatever reward is going to come out of it for their own personal gain, versus the people that actually need it, the people that actually could move forward or help them significantly in their lives. They're always the ones on the 9-page waiting list, while these other people are scamming to get to the top. That's what I was saying.
Go ahead, True. You want to respond?
Yeah, no, I think that approaching it from a moral perspective is cute, but that's where I tend to get a little bit personally annoyed, because we try to implement structure and morality at a beneficial approach to things. Most people aren't moral. We would like to believe that they are, but they're not. Marriage was constructed in a way that is meant to carry out the institution from a moral perspective. We don't. Most people don't. And then we try to get feelings behind the system that is very much corrupt. The rules were instituted in a time where the structure of how we live life was different. Those rules have not changed very much. And I definitely believe and stand behind what Hink said, that unfortunately the rules won't change until the pain is felt on the side of who's been the beneficiary of these said rules. So sometimes I think, and it's cool, we always are trying to be like, oh, well, you know, people should do right, people should do wrong. The reality is, majority of people, I don't even know if they know what right or wrong is, depending on how they were raised, depending on what they digest, depending on what they subscribe to. So one individual may say, oh, I wouldn't do it, but the vast majority of people, like Callie was saying, probably will take advantage, push boundaries, and get what they can, because self-preservation to humans is just what it is. I just think that, yeah, again, the reason why I said what I said was the system is broken, but I do believe that there need to be a correction. And in this position in our society now, we have women who are capable of earning to whatever limit they want. So there's weight on both ends. There's benefit, and then there's, you know, the adverse of that. That's just reality. Welcome to being grown and successful. And I digress.
Would women still go ahead, mistaken?
I was just gonna say, like how we tell men, like at this stage of the game, that know that they're making money. I think women now, in being in that position that is making a lot of money and they intend on getting married, why wasn't that just put in a prenup? That they may have an agreement that you know, that they both agree that they won't pay, you know, alimony if a divorce should occur, because you can put that clause in a prenup that waives alimony. So if people are going to get married and they're concerned about the, you know, their money, just in case if they get divorced, then protect yourself.
Well, I
Yeah,
think the reason why, because she was afraid that a dude might come up and that heifer wasn't going to be good enough to keep up with the income he could possibly be making. So she said, "Well, look, if he end up coming up before I come up, and then I miss out on this bag, hell no, I ain't gonna do that." Because maybe her money's not a continuous stream of income. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she's doing the podcast thing, but you know, you only hot until you're hot. You're not hot, and then she's not hot no more. Then what? So now all of a sudden the income go down, and she ain't got this prenup. She got this prenup. Now she's not gonna get the benefits. Now I don't think she wants that. So she's like, well, look, I'd rather roll the dice and take my chances, and whatever happens, happens. But I promise you, she didn't see this coming at all. There's no way she seen this man was gonna get the opportunity to get this alimony. She may thought they was gonna walk away, have some type of settlement, and that be it. All of a sudden the judge said, well, I'm gonna grant him his alimony. She was shocked. I'm sure she was shooken to the core when she found that out. Now she's trying to probably hire a new lawyer and go back in the courtroom and get that shit amended, I'm sure.
All right. I do want to pose another question. Would women still fight for equal rights if it meant equal alimony laws across the board? Would women still fight for equal rights if it meant equal alimony laws across the board?
I want so bad to believe that they would, but I have to be honest and genuine. I don't see that happening. And the reason for that is because there's too many women that is benefiting off of it. And it's sad because it's, at the end of the day, it's just not right, you know? And I think that it's going to take a lot more people, especially a lot more women that don't abuse the system, a lot more women that can speak up for justice, especially for the men, to even make that happen. But until we can get to a point where either the justice system is being a little bit more realistic when it comes to giving out alimony towards the women that are receiving it, or the women that cut corners to receive it, it's going to be that way until a stand is being taken. And I don't know how that stand is going to happen. I don't know if it's like Emra said, you know, more women having to pay alimony for it to happen. I don't know what it's going to take, but I really don't see a lot of women standing up and saying, let's make alimony equal until they get fed up with it.
So now you agree with what I just sit there and said. More women have to suffer in order for the law to change.
I never disagreed with you, Hank. I was just, my point was just that for me, I just don't ever laugh at someone's pain. I get it. He's a comedian. I get it. You know, it's like, yay, I you know, finally, you know, whatever the case may be. the rabbits on the other foot, however that you want to say. It's just for me, I just don't I just don't laughing at other people's demise. I don't like doing that, period. So that's just a me
I
thing.
understand. I understand. You know what I'm saying? That's what comedians do. They laugh at pain. You know what I'm saying? So that's some of the best comedy is the pain and what they go through. So as far as that situation, even if every man in the world who's dealing with that situation went and try to push it, we still need help from the ladies. Because ain't enough men in the world going to make that long change. We still would need more women on our side in order to make that happen. And I don't think it's enough. Like you said, not enough is going to suffer in order to want to make that change. So until then, it's not going to happen. Now, I don't understand with some of these ladies who has sons. Guess what? Your son could possibly be the same one suffering in that same situation. Are you willing to be okay with that? To watch your son go through it? To watch your son have to pay alimony to a woman? And they could probably even dog walked him and cheated on him and still get that out. We've seen situations where a woman cheated on him and he still had to pay her alimony. Why? Because he made more and he provided a certain lifestyle for her. Look, it's not a fair thing. Now, the laughing part, it was probably kind of tacky him doing that. I don't agree with that. I thought that was kind of tasty, but look, I understand.
So I do have a question, and this is for the gentleman. And this is because I'm not too familiar with how alimony works. So is alimony given for only a specific amount of time, or is it kind of like indefinite? Because I don't really know. Like when you guys get put on alimony, how long does that even last?
Until you get married.
It varies from state to state. In some states like California, it's indefinitely. There's some situations where you'll have to pay alimony. In some situations in states, you'll have to pay alimony until she remarries. And in those cases, those women never remarry. Like 99.9% of them never remarry. Because, like, what's the point?
So you hear that, chat? Get a prenup.
So even with the prenup, look, I think we are in a cultural mind where people don't think that they need prenups. And I think prenups should be a conversation because it benefits both parties, right? It's to protect her, it's to protect him as well. And there's always the argument, well, we started off together, we didn't have anything, and we built something, and along the way, we had built a family, and we separated. I understand that. But you know, depending on how that relationship is structured, and depending on how everything is structured in that relationship or marriage, for this example, right? It might not go in the favor of the man. This is my feeling towards alimony. Alimony is an antiquated tool used in modern times to punish men, and I'm gonna explain why. Once upon a time, I understand women didn't have all the kind of rights that men did. Sadly so. Once upon a time, women didn't have access to credit cards, bank accounts, and stuff like that. Sadly so. However, today, women have more access to anything than ever before. They're traveling more. They have passports. They have bank accounts. They have credit cards. They have, you know, access to higher education. You know, there's a ton of programs out there. I would say that women are moving on the up and up, much doing a lot better than some men in some areas. So this idea of alimony, if we're two people who are well-rounded and well-educated and our marriage goes sour and we split ways, why would I pay you alimony when you are an able working body with 2 hands, 2 feet, and a working mind and an education from a prestigious university that you can find employment for yourself, or if not, start your own business by yourself? You are not a dummy. You are not uneducated. You are poorly enabled to do bad behavior through social vehicles, right? Like these people who leave these relationships, you didn't just forget your education. You know what I'm saying? You still have those in your back pocket, regardless of the marriage dynamic, whether you are a stay-at-home wife And even that, I don't even believe that much. I think there's always something to be doing in a family dynamic. You're going to be running a business from home, right? You're going to be updating books. You're going to be doing something in some capacity to contribute. So I don't believe that there is no work allowed, right? So if you leave and we have stuff structured, you could leave with a house and one of the businesses, but there isn't this, you're going to pay alimony and I take half of everything. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's more of a punishment than anything.
Luis, I think you're confusing alimony with spousal support. Alimony is not, that's not the reason for alimony. Alimony is rarely rewarded. It's pretty rare. And it's only because of lifestyle change. So if you take a person into a different lifestyle or a different class, and you take them significantly from where they were before, that's when a person is rewarded alimony. And if you took that person from a different class level, and then that person was dependent on you in the form of a housewife or, bearing children or what have you, that is when, in those specific circumstances, alimony is rewarded. It's not the same thing as a spousal support, which is something that can be ordered for a certain amount of time. It's just to make ends meet. It's not a make ends meet thing. Alimony is it's like the golden rabbit in the sky. Like nobody really gets it.
It's like unemployment for divorcees.
No, it's a class thing. It's like if you take somebody from a different lifestyle, it's a lifestyle change, and that's what alimony is about. And this is why that guy was rewarded alimony from that woman, is because whatever money she had was probably significantly more than whatever he was earning, and he lived in a lifestyle with her. For this reason, he was rewarded alimony.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare.
All right, so I just looked it up. It says alimony, also called spousal support, is a court order payment that one spouse makes to the other after divorce or separation. It is intended to help the lower earning or non-earning spouse maintain a similar standard of living they had during the marriage.
Yeah, so that's similar to unemployment. You lose your job, you get paid for it until you get another job. But it's like the divorce part of it. But either way, I just feel like if they do have that, it should be like stopped at like a certain amount of time. Like they sit there and say, oh, you're going to get paid off of this person until they remarry. The hell? What would cause the other person to want to get remarried then? They're going to be eaten for however long they want to eat. So it's like, I get why it's there and it makes sense. But there has to be a certain cap on how long that's going to be, because ain't no way man or woman should be paying a whole grown adult technically what sounds like child support to me for the rest of their life until they get remarried. Like after a few months, it's like, baby, what were you doing through that whole time? Why do you still need this? Like you don't have any goals or any ambitions, or you want to live off of this for the rest of your life? That's crazy.
Well, this is what it says. It says how long alimony can be temporary, short term after separation, or permanent until remarriage, a set time period, or another court decision. The factors the courts consider: length of marriage, income difference between spouses, standard of living during marriage, contributions to marriage, like stay-at-home parenting, age and health of both spouses. Like some people believe alimony is necessary for fairness, while others think it is outdated and unfair, especially in cases where both parents are capable of working.
Another thing I needed to clarify, because I work in the courts daily, every day is my life. This is what I see every day. Like it's not rewarded. It's not rewarded as much as just regular spousal support is. I know in the definition it said it's often called spousal support. It can be called that, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing.
Let's make sure we mute in between because I'm hearing the echo sometimes when people speak. So make sure we mute in between. All right. How you feel about this, Aisha? Before we move on to the next topic, what are your thoughts about the conversation that's been happening? We had a woman. It was towards the end of the podcast, but she's paying her ex-husband $500,000 in alimony.
I think that if that's what she has to pay, like, I mean, Y'all already know I was put on child support before. So if that's what she has to pay, I mean, it is what it is. She was paying for his lifestyle when they were together. I feel like if they're gonna play that game, it should go on both sides. It shouldn't matter if you're a man or a woman. The law should apply to both parties equally. So I don't see what the problem is. I don't see what the uproar would be about that because it happens. And I also agree with Amira. Alimony is not often rewarded. Like you don't hear people say, I got alimony. Man, that the rich and famous, you know what I mean? Like, but like everyday people don't normally get alimony. I come from a state where they don't even award it. So but I don't know people that just like in general, it's in I don't know if y'all want to Google the stats, but they don't award alimony often. You may get spousal support for like 6 months or 9 months. They'll agree to pay your bills, which is like a form of spousal support. But for the second question, are men fight or should women fight for equal rights, or do you think we should? I think that that's a loaded question because I feel like the men were the people in office who created these said laws that are unfair for them. Because when these laws were enacted, there were no women that were sitting on panels with these laws. And I think that it's important that men actually get out there and fight for themselves. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're gonna always, especially Black women, we're gonna always stand behind our men. So like whatever y'all on, I feel like that's what we're on for the most part. So if y'all out there and this is something that y'all really want to do, then do it. I hear men all the time that are like, oh, I don't, I want to see my child. Take her to court. Like, I feel like it's a lot of things that men just don't do. And yeah, I see Truth shaking his head. You might be the one that'll actually get up and do because there are men that do. But the majority of men walking around here, they don't even like the police. So they're not going to court. They would literally be like, well, I'll wait till my child, can make that decision. You know what I'm like? That's the way that it goes. And I think that men shouldn't be afraid to advocate for themselves and, to be present and to say, I say men should always want 50-50 custody. 50-50, just split it down the middle. If you want to avoid all that child support, 50-50 custody. But as far as like alimony, it's not really rewarded. And if it is, it's normally spousal support that's based on your income. I also agree that the laws need to be revamped. We all know that it's so many laws that need to be rewritten, amended, just revamped because they're contrary to popular belief. There are women that do not work and haven't worked for 15, 20 years. There are women who have these lifestyles that they've had and they don't know where to begin when they leave a marriage. So I think that it has to be amended for certain things that happen.
I just saw something that said they also have rehabilitative spousal support. So for those women who are in that situation or men that are in that situation where they've been married and out of work for 15 years, even though I might have let's say a law degree but I wasn't practicing the entire time we were married or what have you. Yes, I have education, but so much changes when you've been out of work. Like just look back on the last 5 years in the education system. If I go back 10 years, it's changed even more. I've been in education for over 20 years. And from when I started to where it is now is a huge difference. So even though you may have the education, you may have the degrees, it doesn't mean that you can just get back in a workforce and find a job like that. Especially if you look at certain jobs, the trajectory that you would have had you stayed in the workforce. And now getting back into the workforce after 15, 20 years, you're not going to start where you left off at. Typically, you're going to start at the bottom because the stuff that is dated. compared to what needs to be done now within that same field.
All right. You want to chime in, Vaughn?
No, just to elaborate a little bit on what she just said. Like I knew, like what she was saying, like it was outdated. So I'm guessing the guy had to Rachel Lindsay guy had to be out of work for a while, because I do know he was a chiropractor. So I can definitely see how she probably didn't think that was going to be something that was awarded to him, because he had his career and he was making good money like she was, because she's a lawyer. So with him not working and then being in the spotlight, I can definitely see how he possibly wasn't in work, and they was like doing a lot of TV things, and that's how their income was coming in. So him being out of work and having to start all over probably definitely took a toll. So he has to like rebuild to get himself back on top.
But the bad part is that we even have to fight to go to court, hire a lawyer in order to get custody, or see custody, or have custody, or have quality time with our kids. See, that's a problem. But see, I don't see it as that though. Why? Because y'all ladies don't suffer enough. Y'all don't feel that pain. Y'all have no idea. Y'all not going to say, I want to see my son. You're not coming to him and say, I want to see my son. No, it's not the situation y'all got. It's just the opposite. We got to come to y'all. And if y'all decide to say no, now I have to go hire an attorney. And now I got to go push the issue. I got to go take off of work. I got to go do this. Why you have a public defender, the court system will appoint you somebody who will represent you, while I have to sit back and put all of this money into it, while y'all sit back and just reap the benefits. See, I don't think y'all understand how diabolical some of these are out here. I watched a dude go through a divorce. She put a emergency protective order on this man in order to get the man out of the house. You know why she did that? In order to gain control of custody of that child. So they're going to say, oh, well, he abandoned it. Well, he was forced out of the house. He had no option. He couldn't be around the house. So guess what? By the time that EPO got settled and dealt with, they didn't already dealt with the child custody situation. So now she's automatically awarded custody because he abandoned the child. He abandoned the residence. That's some diabolical shit that some of these ladies do out here. I know y'all don't want to believe that, but it happens.
No, I believe it, because people, you can't expect people to be anything but people. I do not sit here and think that there are women out here, all women are saints, and we're just the princesses and queens of life. You know, at the end of the day, you know, people are going to take advantage of what it is that they can take advantage of. And unfortunately, when it comes to certain situations like the one that your friend is going through, she saw an opportunity and she took it. And that is wrong. And there should be punishments and consequences to people that do that type of stuff. And knowing that. So if she's getting a protective order and he has shown no sort of abuse, no sort of anything that could cause her bodily harm, but she did that just to her own personal gain to abuse the system, she should be prosecuted. That's what should happen. That would be the right thing to happen.
I think Hink's point is that, yeah, you're right that people are people, but there shouldn't be a full-on system with judges and police that back up this absolute, I want to say a bad word, but I'm not going to say it, but it's garbage system that is gynocentric. It's all about the poussé. Sorry, I'm not going to say the word, but it's like poussé centered, okay? And I think that's what Hink is saying. Like the whole system is centered around it.
Yeah, to say that they're people, I think is a stretch. A lot of the people that's in there they're just flat out evil. They abuse it. I remember being in family court once, and there was a gentleman there that was recently divorced, and his wife wasn't allowing for him to see the kids on the scheduled dates and times that she was supposed to. And the judge literally sat there. It was a woman judge, literally sat there and said, okay, well, we already set the time and the dates. You guys have to figure that out. And left it as that. it was nothing else he could do, nothing else he could say. He was literally at the mercy of this woman that was being vindictive for whatever the case may be. But he was on time making his child support payments. He was coming to court. He's spending all this money coming to court. And the judge just told him, oh, well, y'all got to figure it out. There's nothing I can do. It's out of my hands. So the system, without a doubt, is set up to benefit women, be it if they're a good mother or be it if they're a terrible mother.
I'm not saying that does not happen, because I absolutely know that it does for a fact. I've seen it. But I've also, and based on, stats, but just I'll also say based on just the people that I've been around that are in situations like that, in terms of, custody issues and stuff like that, is I think what we're speaking to is we're highlighting, like a lot of times y'all say with women, like you always are giving the worst case scenario, but that doesn't reflect the majority of what happens. I definitely know that women, their issue is they want control, right? With not that they have an issue all the time with the father seeing the kid, but it is how I want you to see the kid, right? So just like how men have issues with paying the child support, it's not that they have an issue with the money going towards the child, but it's the matter of controlling to make sure the money's going to the child and not you, right? But when using Zviz's example, personally, I've been up close and personal with a situation like that. And I just personally feel like if a man wants to see his kid or vice versa, then they do what's necessary. Now, he went to court and the judge said, y'all got to figure that out. And what he did was every time it was his time to get the kid, he made sure he had the decree that showed his set time, contacted the police, and always went to go get his kid with a police escort, so there wouldn't be an issue. And so that's something that you have to do. Now, I don't know if that works in every state. Each state have different laws. I'm saying I don't know, and I specifically am saying I'm speaking from my personal experiences that I've seen. Now, I know that my experience don't represent everyone, but just kind of reading about some of the stuff, the stats doesn't necessarily support that situation is the vast majority. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I do want to say, sorry, mistaken. I do want to say that I have a brother that actually went through something like that, and he went to the court and he did everything that he was supposed to do, and they still didn't grant him 50-50. He went to the court. He hired a lawyer that he pays for.
The person that I'm talking about didn't have 50-50 either. He had a specific, because he worked a lot, so he couldn't get 50-50. He was out of the country, things like that. But the other thing is the men that I know, there's quite a few, if we look at the stats, a lot of, single-led households, is out of all of those men that I do know, they do get to see their kid. Some of them actually now, even though the mother was awarded, they're raising their own kids. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think that we make that story,
what is your
story more often than not, is all I'm saying.
What is your point? What was your main point in saying all of that?
The main point was the fact that if men really want to have access to their children, then they need to do what they need to do in order to get that access.
I think that, okay. The fact, I appreciate what you said, Ms. Taken, and y'all not gonna gloss over what Hink said, and he said it on several shows. This is the problem. It is not a system designed to have families facilitate peace. You can only draw money, discourse, further billing from chaos. The simple fact is that until this law changes to where women have to now be dehumanized to fight for the very children they birth, they won't understand. And the reason why they don't understand is because you're automatically humanized. The exchange of the demise of the family is still keeping you intact. You're still human. You're still the better parent. You still are the better, more mature, stable individual, no matter how heinous you are. But the man that you took his last name, if it's a marriage, the man that you decided to live under the same roof with, the man that you probably pushed out a number of kids with, and the man that you still want financial help from, you would stay attached to him, but the system dehumanizes that man. They don't do that to women. And this is why it's so hard to, I don't know if we're doing a good enough job of conveying. The system is not designed for us to facilitate in peace. Until women start to understand that, it will not change. It's always do what you got to do. Men are doing what they got to do.
No,
that's the issue. So it's not a follow the rules. And that's the biggest disconnect that I see a lot of times in these discourses, is that you have women who subscribe to the system and believe that that's the safe haven. That's the structure. It's not. It should happen from a human level. If we no longer can figure out how to work things out, there should be no reason why we can't figure out how to work us out to facilitate support for the children we create. That's mature. That's human. That's not how people are. And that's the issue. I digress.
The scariest part about it, and I experienced this also firsthand, but the scariest part about it is that women will always say, oh, well, you need to fight harder. You want to see your kids, you need to fight harder. Why do I need to fight harder to be in my kid's life? That makes no sense. It's the toll that takes on a man to have to fight to see his kids in a system that's literally milking him to even try to fight his kids. So during this entire period, you're now exhausted. You're exhausted physically, mentally, financially, all because women are telling men, well, you need to fight harder. That makes no sense. There's men out there that don't want to be in their kids' life. And then you have men that are avidly fighting to be in their children's life. And the court system is fucking them over.
So
even if you fight harder,
point, just if you can. And again, I don't want it to be remiss that I don't understand that these situations don't have, like, I know they happen. But when in the stats is showing even now, currently, that typically 50-50 now is the default for most states. But I guess for me, the question is, based on from what I have read, is that most of the time custody hearings are decided outside of the court, and that typically dads are in agreement with letting the mom have the custodial custody, right? With them agreeing to whatever the visitation situation is going to be. So on the one hand, when I hear men saying things like, I have to fight, I shouldn't have to fight, and I actually agree with you. Most women that I know don't have an issue because they want to break, right? But there are some that don't. I guess the question is, if majority of the time men are agreeing to let the woman have custodial custody before they even get to court, then why is there an issue? I guess the argument at this point that I don't get to see my kid, like, it, to me, it kind of seems like you didn't necessarily want 50-50 to begin with if you're agreeing for her to, keep the kid instead of you wanting to have the kid.
So you're saying why didn't the father take full custody of the kid? I'm not. No,
custodial custody just means the child resides, with that
right.
parent.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, if most men are agreeing to allow that setup, without even asking for it, then what does that say? Like you can't agree for a setup, and then now in these spaces we're hearing men say, well, I should have 50-50. Well, you had the opportunity to do that and agreed, I'd rather the mom have the, custodial, over the kid. You understand what I'm saying?
No,
That doesn't make sense to me. So I
so
want
you,
someone to rationalize that for me.
I think what occurs most often is that there's a mediation period, right? And it's not always default, it is changing. Sometimes it is automatic 50-50. But the variables of these exchanges is that it's still a negotiation of sorts. There's lawyers involved, there's paperwork that's being drawn up. Every time you go to court, you're paying to go to court. You're paying for lawyer fees and so on and so forth. So what a lot of times I've seen happen, and it's true, I don't think most men, halfway decent men or decent men, have this vision that they don't want their children that they help birth and create be torn away from their mother. It's just inhumane. Doesn't even make sense. And then some of them are very ignorant to the law, not understanding that 50-50 as it is split, half or however you do it, does create more of a storm in the future. There's other variables, but mostly that's what I've seen, because they don't just start off at 50-50. A lot of times it's 80-20, 70-30, and they are negotiating to 50-50. By that time, lawyers are very slick. Lawyers work off of billing. I'm only going to make money as I drag this out. So by the time a year and a half don't go by, 2 years don't go by, like Vince said, that man is exhausted financially, physically, emotionally. That's why the fight, as you're saying, because it's not a quick process. Even to get into court takes 4, 5, 6 months, sometimes 9, depending on the weight of it. That's why you see men concede, because the weight of it. And then the system is designed that way. It's unfortunate.
And I do think too, it also goes down to majority of the time, it's not the woman it's not the man is forced to leave the house. You know what I mean? And then that comes with a lot of things too, because from what I've seen and what I've raised, it's always been, when I've seen situations like that, the man's kicked out of the house. And the man has to go and stay somewhere until something happens, and then they got to mitigate, and then this, that, and the third. And I think that regardless, I don't think that they're sitting there saying, I don't want the kid, but now I'm going to go to court. It's like True said, is they have no choice, or they feel they don't have a choice. And it's going to take people around them, or maybe they're not even aware of what their choices are, because they're so used to the horror stories that their homeboys go through. And it just trickles down to this thing where it's like, we need to figure out a different way to where they can have a choice. And judging by what off of all the men have said on this panel, they literally feel like when they go to the court, they have no other choice. And the only reasonable clause is to succumb to what the woman says, because he doesn't want to get on bad terms with her, because that's going to rip a whole new set of behind for him if he tries to. Because it's easy for, especially if he's staying there, if he says one bad move, all she has to do is say you're not seeing him for a week. And even though that's illegal, if he were to try to bring it to court, then the courts are going to be like, well, do you have proof of that? Do you have proof that she withheld your child? So it's things where it's like, if majority of these men around us and on these panels are saying, we don't feel that the court is set up for us, then of course it's going to make them feel like, well, what the hell do I do? And then we have all these false allegations, like Hank said, where his homeboy had all these false allegations on him, which prolonged him being able to see his child. So it's just like, we got to figure out, okay, well, how can we start holding these women accountable for what they're doing? It's wrong. It's wrong regardless of the situation. No man should have to go to court to see if he can see his child. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, who are you really punishing? You're not punishing him. Yes, you are, but you're also punishing the children. Now, the children got to suffer. The children don't get to see their dad. The children's like, Daddy, where's mommy? The children got to hear you guys arguing back and forth over the phone over what case may be. So, we got to start holding people accountable for the wrongdoings that they're doing. And until that happens, and until we start recognizing that and acknowledging that, we're always going to have this point where it's just going to be like, well, you could have tried harder. When it's not about trying harder.
I have a question, and maybe, because I'm not in this situation and have not been, but I typically hear more of what I'm about to say versus the other way around. How many of you, as men, I'm just thinking statistically, grew up in a single-led household by your mother, and then the question is if your father had access to you, and if your dad had access, how often did he follow through on coming to see you? And the reason I'm asking that is because a lot of stories that I hear and what I've seen firsthand from the other side with women is that they do allow access to the kid, and then after a while, when the father has been inconsistent with showing up, where the kid is waiting for them to show up to pick them up or go wherever they say they was going to go and then don't come. I've heard more of those stories than the latter, than what you guys are talking about now in terms of the withholding. So I can say maybe I'm looking through things through a different lens, but that is exactly what I've seen to be more often, and not just me see like when I grew up and had friends that happened to, but just talking to men, like just in regular conversations when we're talking about, Phil, when I was growing up, that has typically been the story from other men about their fathers not being consistent in showing up. So
that very much is a thing.
Suffer in silence, though. Most men suffer in silence with everything. Most men suffer in silence with everything. So a man would sit there and take it, won't say anything, will just accept it and keep it moving. Most men will do that, even in that situation. How many times you're not going to hear him complain about how he got stiffed by his baby mama? She was late to the drop off point. Then he had to go because he had to ride 3 hours to get back to his city or to his state from where he came from. It happens a lot. Men just don't say nothing about it. Now, I'm a man. I believe in pushing the issue. I believe in putting the heifer on paperwork. I have no problem with I'll put my daughter's mother on paper. When she sent my daughter here late from California here, I put her ass on paper. I went to the judge. Judge, I got tickets for us to go to Disney World. She had to reimburse me half of the price for her ticket and hotel stay because I pushed the issue. But that's me. Not everybody can afford to do that, though. Let me say this last thing before I get off this. Every man, please learn your family court laws in your state. Whatever state you're from, learn your family court laws. Master them, educate yourself on them. Don't allow these heifers to take advantage of you. I'll leave it there.
All right, I'm going to switch gears, man. Read these super chats. AP accountability partner $5 says women don't brag and men don't get dragged. Brittany, that's not true. Tiana and Iman Shepherd, let's not be dishonest. Chris Reed, $5 says no woman wants a garbage man called husbands, and also no woman wants a square called husband. Del Will 199 says Hink was a preacher in his past life. Del Will 499 says to mistaken, if a man has to fight that hard to see his child, the question should be who is making him fight and why. I want to thank everybody that's contributed so far. Let's go ahead and get this show rolling. So, are you guys familiar with Andrew Schulz? You guys familiar with him a little bit? All right, so there was some tension that first ignited when Clark from the Pivot podcast criticized a joke from Schulz about the inverse of the black girlfriend effect, where men with black girlfriends supposedly cut their hair shorter due to stress and grow beards to cushion against slaps. Clark took the issue with the comment calling it offensive, which prompted Schulz to dismiss the criticism as an attempt to gain attention during his appearance on Club Shay Shay. Schulz's dismissal stung, leading Clark to publicly defend his stance. On the Pivot podcast, Clark responded to Schulz's accusations, clarify that his comments were not about clout. So we had a little back and forth between Andrew Schulz, which he has been making his rounds on podcasts. He was on Shannon Sharp. He was on another podcast, which I'm going to play a clip from that. Then he went to Shannon Sharp's and kind of like dismissed it a little bit. Ryan from Pivot Podcast didn't really like what he said, which, some people do come to the aid when they do speak about Black women. And so he invited him to the show and he addressed that, which I do have the audio of that as well. If you guys haven't already, hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to go ahead and play this first clip of where he actually told the joke.
Black girlfriend effect. This
Oh,
is
you don't know about this?
glow up the other culture.
Yeah, so you'll see a guy who's had a black girlfriend. All of a sudden, he's got buzz cut, like clean shape up. Glows up, bro.
I like that. I like that. They
shave
their hair because they start losing it. Because they're so stressed being around this black girl complaining about shit all the fucking time. That's why they gotta shave their hair.
Nah, bro. White guys with black girlfriends, they
grow
step,
a beard
they step
because
their dick
there's
up.
more cushion when they get slapped the fuck out of.
That's hilarious.
I think the black girlfriend effect. It might be a protective instinct, bro.
You think?
Protective. Yeah. Do you guys have you ever had black girlfriends?
Yeah.
Have you ever had white girls?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. What's your favorite?
We love them all.
Yeah.
Oh really?
We love them all.
Yeah.
That means white.
That means white.
Hey, let me get a US translation.
Kendrick fans, get him!
We love them all.
That's royal English for
Seems like a good time. Jokes. Everybody's laughing there. Nobody seems to be offended. See some smiles on the panel. It was all in good faith, right? How do you guys feel about that?
Are we supposed to be upset about it? I mean, he's a comedian.
Okay.
I think I did see some outrage when that first came out. I think it was like a rapper or somebody said that they were supposed to check him or something of that nature when he had said it.
I mean, they don't doubt me. I mean, I've seen it on panels as well, and people do have sad conversations about remarks or how, even me. I mean, I've had people come on a panel and behind the scenes, people be like, I guess that's how you feel because you didn't say anything or they're on the panel. So I've been accused of carrying a weight when people say things. So I guess I can relate to those comments. How do you feel about him, Miss Taken? Did you get offended when he made that joke? I can't hear you on mute, just so you know.
I mean, I could care less because I don't really know who he is. So, I mean, I don't know what kind of platform. I definitely think there's a difference between maybe somebody on a huge platform, saying certain things that are going to have more weight versus others. And because I really don't know who he is, I could care less, and I didn't find it funny either. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it kind of reminded me. I was hoping Amira would be here too, because we had a little situation too, I guess, where Amira had spoke how she felt a little bit. And
so if we are supposed to be upset about that, how come we don't show or say that we're upset when Black comedians poke fun at white people or Mexicans or Jews? Is we all he and ha ha along with the joke, but when somebody else says a joke about us, then it's like, oh, that's racist, and we supposed to cancel them.
I think there's a slight difference. And the reason I say there's a slight difference is because the historical context of certain things are very different for other cultures, right? So making a joke about Jewish people, having a lot of money. They tight on a coin is very different than making a joke about a Black man beating a woman, right? Because the stereotypes between the groups are very different. There's
I
typically more negative connotation when it comes to jokes about African American versus other groups. So
I thought he was saying that a black woman was hitting a white man.
no, I wasn't speaking specifically to what he was saying. I was using just my own general comment in terms of making jokes about black men or black people in general. Typically, if it's jokes about being more violent, typically those are things that I'm saying is a negative connotation that is being said when jokes are being made about other groups. So you might hear jokes about Mexicans piling in a car or something like that, right? But is that really negative? Is that really a bad thing versus saying, hearing, or what you said, a woman, a black woman putting hands on a man or vice versa? I just think it's very, very different. And speaking into your point about why are we seeing things differently and why aren't they being court race? It's all court called races. It's all about historical context is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but mistaken, you're also using like the PG-7 version to give context to what you're saying. Like there's things that have been said about Mexican people who are far worse than the context in which you just provided, right? There's a lot of things that I said about a lot of different groups in a worse context. We're just using a much more lighter, colorful version of it. And same thing goes for the other side.
Now, do you typically hear those bad jokes at the same rate that you would hear, like when you say it's really, really bad? Is it typically more about Black people in general versus the other groups that you're referring to?
But
We
I
have to be honest about that.
typically hear Black comedians talk about these things. It's typically the Dave Chappelle's of the world. It's
Hell
the,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's all
black comedians push the bar to the max. Faithfully.
Do you remember the Kings of Comedy? You know, the stuff, like a lot of those guys like really, really push the envelope.
I think, again, I know y'all gonna be like, what? But it is different. It's just like the same situation when you're talking about, I can talk about my mom, right? I can call her B, but you can't call her B. I think that's the same mindset and mind frame around Black comedians making jokes about Black people
We're not talking about
versus another group, or specifically white people making jokes about Black people. Again,
we're pointing out black comedians making jokes about other races, not Black comedians making jokes about Black people.
Well, that's
Black
what
comedians since
so
the days of Richard Pryor has been making fun of white people openly, and we all ha ha ha, even white people in the audience. So once a white person says something about a Black person, now we're supposed to say that it's racist. That part I don't understand. And I think that's the point of the conversation, I would assume.
Maybe perhaps it's not racist. Maybe perhaps it's insensitive or like culturally kind of, I don't know, blindside, whatever the case may be. But I don't think it's meant in malice the way that most people might be thinking about it.
Let me get some other folks in there. How you feeling about this, Vaughn? Aisha?
I feel like if we can make jokes about other races, I think we just need to have tougher skin. So if a white person is making jokes about us and now it's all, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. We make jokes about white people every day on a regular basis. It's funny. Like I have white and Black friends. So if I can take it, they should be able to take it. Everyone should be able to take it. It's not fair that this is decided, this particular joke is supposed to be funny, but this one, when you say this now, no, that's not funny. Now I'm offended by it. I don't agree with it. I feel like everything is not meant to be taken badly. So definitely wasn't offended by what he said. Like, have you dated, like, even with women, we date white men, black men, like, we don't, it's, everybody wants to know, like, how was that? Like, which one do you prefer? It's nothing funny about it. I mean, it can be funny, but at the same time, you should be able to laugh at yourselves and take it on both ends.
Yeah, would it be racist for a black person to say, "Oh, man, your white wife don't know how to cook. She just know how to make was it corn casserole or something like that?" You know, somebody could say that that's racist. Like, oh man, that's racist. But we say that all the time.
Exactly. I
What
can.
is it?
Yeah,
green bean casserole.
Green, right? Exactly. We say that all the time.
Yeah,
that's not racist.
You're missing the point. Yes, we do, but how soft?
I feel like they're trying to miss the point because some things just ain't funny. You know what I'm saying? And I'm on the same page with you, Ms. Taken, because I think that we find it as a culture to invite everybody to the cookout. I don't know this man from Adam, so no, that's not funny. I didn't laugh. It wasn't entertaining.
Is it not funny?
Done things before.
He
said and done things before that are questionable. And Viz, you can jump on that bandwagon. And
I'm not jumping on nobody bandwagon.
Black men. I'm not rolling with it. I'm just not like, and y'all are comparing jokes because I did watch the King of Comedy and they didn't say anything that was remotely offensive as to say that black women beat on men. I just don't remember them saying anything about white people that would even, they did make jokes about white people, but those jokes weren't in line with that. He was
black
like,
men joke about black women beating on them.
He just said that. The joke was about you have a beard on your face so that when a black woman hits you, you won't feel it. Is that not what I heard?
Yeah.
That's a joke about a black woman hitting on a black man or beating on them. I mean, I guess we hearing maybe.
You've never heard a black comedian say the same thing that black women do the same thing to black men?
But that would be me saying I can say whatever I want to say about my sister, but you better not talk about her. I think that it's just a different.
What?
That's just. I feel like y'all are.
That's that's picking and choosing,
right? It's not a big deal. I'm not going to tweet about it. It's not nothing to call home about. But I just didn't find the joke funny. I didn't see nothing. To me when they do these little inside jabs and y'all be like, oh, it's not funny because we talk about each other. So ha ha ha. No, I watch everything they do and how they move and how they operate, and I call a spade a spade. So
I think you're personalizing it, Isha. We're talking about a comedian opposed to somebody saying your sister. Don't talk about my sister.
When you work in corporate America and they do the little mistaken, the little microaggressions and the little things they say to us, and we're supposed to just laugh about it, like ha 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 ha. No, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly how you really feel, and so I'm just gonna be like, okay, I'm not gonna react, but I'm gonna know in my mind, I see what you want. I see the type of time you want, and y'all can choose to ignore it and laugh with them, but that's just not who I am as a person, right? So when I notice certain things and these little microaggressions, or we're just gonna make a joke about it. To me, that's on a whole different playing field, and I just think about it on a different level. I'm not saying that it's right and everybody should think this way. I might not even act on it, but it's gonna be silently noted in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way I operate.
All right, let me get some other people in there, y'all.
I'm trying to figure
this out real fast, man, because y'all ladies can call each other the B word. That's all cool. But let me call. I mean, we same color, right? Shit, I can't call you the B word.
I can see how they're moving the goalposts. One thing has nothing to do with
no, I can't joke and call you the B word like y'all call each other the B word. I can't do it. I mean, so what's good for the goose ain't good for the gander. Okay, I see what's going on.
Y'all living in the past.
Let's talk about this. With as far as the situation, man, look, if he's stereotyping, he's stereotyping. Whether y'all don't like it, they change the stereotype. Don't be those type of women that live up to the goddamn stereotype. Because guess what y'all do? Y'all put hands on men. Don't act like y'all don't. But guess what? I bet not do.
A lot of them are in jail for doing just that. So
yeah, ain't enough in the jail for it. Ain't enough in jail.
I'm talking about men put hands on women. So it's always this comparison of like who can downplay, who can say the worst things. But like men put hands on women, physically beat women all the time.
That's
so,
not.
Right.
Hold on, y'all. We can't talk over each other because they can't hear. So if somebody talking, just wait till they finish, y'all.
For them to make a joke about black men,
you bullying me now, but I ain't found no police report on your ass right now. You bullying me right now. I was talking. You bullying me out of goddamn mic. I mean, I ain't found no police report on your ass. I could have, because you're dead wrong. You bullying me.
But what I'm saying is men do the same exact.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep up my ass.
Not find that funny either.
All right, Aisha, to be fair, Hank was talking, y'all. So let's make sure we don't cut each other off. And if you want to chime in, just wait till they finish. Go ahead, Hank. And let's get the other folks in before we go ahead and start going back and forth if we can.
And my buddy be the first one to call me mean. But she up there just bullying my ass and just bullying me off the damn mic. I don't understand that. But, it's all fun. It's all fine and dandy. Look, I don't agree what he did. You know what I'm saying? Is taking a shot. Because I understand what y'all saying, man. We could joke about each other, but I don't think it was as offensive as y'all taking it, right? I don't think it is.
All right, go ahead, Callie. And we'll go to True.
I'm gonna be 100%. I don't expect a comedian to be fair. Like, I don't expect him to like be fair at all. So when a comedian says something, it's kind of just like, whatever, bro. All right. I didn't find it funny. The reason why, and I'm going to be honest, like I have been, I didn't find it funny because I kind of took it personal. I'm just going to be 100% because I always get told like, oh, you're the first black girl I ever dated, or, oh, this and that about black girls, or, oh, this and that about black. So I see the stigma and I see where Mistaken Aisha are coming from. And I personally was like, damn, like, why you got to hit us that hard? You feel me? But at the end of the day, he's going to say what he's going to say. He's a comedian and he's going to do what he's going to do. But just remember, everything you do has repercussions. So whether or not it's funny, whether or not it's whatever you say on any platform is always going to come with some heat. So of course he's going to get heat from a certain side because there are people, unfortunately, that are sensitive to that topic. So, and even if it was a different comedian and they said something else that offended a whole different culture, a whole different race, they have the right to get upset about that too. So it's just like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, they're just gonna say what they're gonna say, and whatever comes from it. But you're gonna have to eat with the words you said. You're gonna say something, then you're gonna have to hear what comes from what you said. It's just the way of life.
All right, go ahead, True.
That's how I respond to this. I appreciate Aisha. I appreciate Mistaken. I appreciate Vaughn, and I appreciate Miss Callie. And particularly black women, because I see this a lot. You guys have this like aggressive, protective, nurturing, vibrant attitude when it comes to the appearance of us, our community, you guys, us. And I respect that. I would love to see, I hope I live long enough to see it. Because what I hear when I hear comedians and different people talk about us, and this is coming from me traveling abroad and interacting with all types of people, I don't really think we understand how significant we are to most people. And I don't think we also understand that sometimes people want to be invited in to be given the cool card, to be given the access that comes with our community. Because for whatever reason, we hold the cool factor globally, right? And I think we miss opportunities to do just that. Instead of being emotional, instead of being overly bent out of shape about words on people that you'll probably never meet, we don't take it and learn how to spin it and embrace it for what it is. It is, if you've interacted with Caucasian people for any amount of time, some of them still operate in guilt till this day on things they didn't even do because their grandfathers or uncles or so on did. And so sometimes what they try to do is they try to figure out how to come alongside of being embraced, accepted, what the heck ever. And that may not ever happen. But until we get to a place of healing to where we understand that crap did happen, crap's still happening. but that doesn't have to be your day to day, I think we're going to miss it, because I don't see what he said that could have put anybody that is living their life on a level of growth and health and all those things and be bent out of shape about it. It just, he's insignificant in the scheme of things. And we don't, in my opinion, we shouldn't be policing what people say about us. If they're talking about us, you're relevant. If they're making it comedic and joking, you're relevant. So I think we just sometimes miss it as a community and not understanding that, we do matter in that sense. And I digress.
All right.
And I just want to add in, I'm not saying that like I said earlier, he's a comedian. He's going to say what he wants to say. But I'm also going to be honest. Like, I'm not literally like, oh, he said, we said, now my feelings are hurt. Now I'm going to go to Twitter and TikTok and tell my 12,000 followers, oh, don't follow this dude because this. I'm not going to do all that. I'm just going to be like, I don't like what you said. Damn. And move the fuck on. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, what he said was like, I didn't find it funny. And I said why I didn't find it funny, because I hear that joke all the time. Growing up, that's the jokes I would hear all the time about something about Black women. So that's all I literally heard. So if someone comes to me and says something about Black women again, I'm gonna be like, bro, I heard your joke like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So to me, I'm only explaining why I didn't find it funny. But if you guys found it funny, hey, more power to you. But I'm also going to state what you say on any platform is going to have repercussions. That's just the way it goes. And now some communities might take it a little bit further than others, depending on what it was that was said. But I guarantee you go on any type of platform and any community hears one little snippet that you don't like, it's going to have something coming back. So as someone that is like if you have that big of a platform, I'm not telling what you can and can't say, just, hey, like learn, like what is he doing? Is he issuing a public apology for what he said? I don't really know.
Well, I'm gonna play this next clip. Was actually the audio. So he did go on Ryan's from Pivot Podcast, and he did speak on it. So here we go.
How I felt, how I interpreted it, might not be what you intended, but like my interpretation was like, he's positioning me in a way as if I'm not aware of this thing and that people are capable of like immense beauty and care and concern and empathy. And it's like, if you feel like you have to explain that to me, you must think that I don't think that already about Black women or all women, or you think that like I think that way about white women and don't about Black women. So that's why I'm like, whoa, like.
Yeah, I think what you're missing is.
Does that make sense?
And I want to say this in like the least combative way possible.
Sure.
You know, what you're missing is I don't care about you. Okay. Right? Like in that
Probably a little bit less combative way of saying that, but yeah, sure.
In that moment, Andrew Schulz was a nameless gray face.
Sure.
Right? It wasn't, I didn't want to attack you. I didn't want people to come to you and be like, well, Ryan Clark said you're a racist. Like, I would never say that, because me, who never actually says, hey, white people are this.
Yeah.
When I step up for Black women the way I did, you know what I got? You're a racist. Right?
Yeah, people are saying that. Yeah,
right. And so,
which is unfair too.
And if I, 2020, George Floyd, I'm like, look, man, I get that there's a criminal system, but doing this to any man is not okay.
That's right. Yeah, you brought up the Alton Sterling thing,
too. But when you do that, right, from whether it's conservatives, Republicans, the right, white people in general, you're a racist. When I never, in any fact, ever say anything about my own color being superior to anybody, which is what racism stems from, right? And so I get what you're saying, that like I never painted you as anything, but as being somewhere, right? And I've dealt with this recently. When you are aware. Right? And when you do feel like you are compassionate and you do try to understand people, right? And they paint you as a certain thing, you feel that they paint you as a certain thing.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not that, and that bothers me in some way.
Did you feel like I did that about you, or you did that about me?
No, I'm saying, because you keep saying I painted you some way, which I didn't. Right? I didn't say much about you.
I didn't say, I thought that your juxtaposition, meaning the fact that you're like, let me explain what the Black woman experience is for me, made me feel, it's just a feeling, like made me feel as if you thought that I didn't already know that.
Have you dated Black women before?
Sure.
And in your dating Black women, did Black women beat you?
No, Ryan, I think you're missing the point here. Like, do you think that's what I think of Black women? Maybe we should start there.
know.
Okay, so then
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So well, that's
what you
different
think
than
of
no.
black women, right? I don't
Yeah.
know because I don't know you. What I do know is
Right.
in that moment, in this small clip I saw of Andrew Schulz,
Yeah.
this is what he said. Now let me
Yes.
tell you what I didn't say,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I didn't say Andrew Schulz thinks that all black women are angry. I didn't say Andrew Schulz thinks that black women are abusive. I didn't say that Andrew Schulz is a racist.
You didn't say racist, but well, I don't want to.
I never said that, right? And in my conversation, I spoke about the two men that were sitting with you, right? And here's what happens when you deal in the life that I deal in, right? When I say something about
I do got a little bit more, but I'm gonna pause it there just to get some commentary in there. How you guys feeling about the conversation? How you feel about
I just
Ryan?
feel like they were running in circles. I mean, they were just, what was the point of the conversation? I mean, nothing really got resolved. We're all focusing on the problem, but like at the end of the day, what was the solution at the end point? Maybe because we didn't watch the whole clip. I don't know. But I guess Schulz felt that he was deeming him or portraying him as someone that's racist. And then the other guy was like, no, I only saw this little clip. And then this is what you said. But at the end of the day, the dude, like I said before, the dude's a comedian. He's going to say whatever he's going to say just to get laughs. So, I mean, like, unfortunately, that's just what happens. The truth is, on a platform like this and the society that we have, there are going to be things that happen when that gets done. But I don't understand I just don't understand the purpose of their conversation.
For him to even tell him that that he was irrelevant when he first saw him, he was like, oh, this person doesn't matter. Then why even have him on the show? Why even make this a conversation? Like it's, I don't get it. I'm an '80s baby. I grew up at the end of watching Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. When comedy was raw, it was in the raw. People had no filter. It seems like what's happening in our culture right now is that we're becoming so soft. I get it. If people took offense to it, so be it. I think that is with comedy being what it is and what it has always been, is that people are going to have different taste in it. Me personally, I have a dark humor. So certain things, I find it funny. Now, is what he said, was that, I'm not a black woman. So what he said, was that offensive? I can see that potentially being offensive for a black woman. But me personally, if he would have said something about black men, about how they sag their pants or how they wear their pants or some shit like that, I'm not going to be up in arms and calling them a racist. You know, it just is what it is. If that's how he wants to, if that's the type of comedian he wants to be, a roaster or whatever the case, then so be it. That's what he is. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. Like that's what we used to do back in the day. If I didn't like this person, we didn't listen to him. And that with you listening to him and blowing this up to be bigger than what it is, we now make it more relevant. So I don't know. Me personally, I don't see the big issue in it, but I also have a very dark humor though.
All right, let me just play the rest of it right quick. It shouldn't be that much more, just so we can get some context.
orange black people getting killed, what do I get? Well, what about black crime in Chicago?
It's a red herring.
Right, it's a red herring.
It's used to distract and like kind of cut the legs out from your point. It's got to be very frustrating. And
Right.
you're
but
taking...
my point about that was, right, when these guys are sitting with you and that is said to people, not you, to people who may see that and may see them sitting there, they'll go, well, Andrew Schulz made this joke about black women, and there were two black men sitting across from him, and in no way did they refute it. This must be true. I can go behave like he behaves.
Got you. So that's the concern, that you think that somebody would see that joke and then feel like it's okay to do that.
Yes.
Got it. So you felt you need to address it to thwart that so you could protect black women from experiencing that in the future.
Andrew too, man, it's like, as, you know, we talked about it, because I said, bro, I didn't even think it was going to be this big. it's part of any healing process, right? You put peroxide on a wound to clean it out in hopes that it heals.
Yeah.
In the same way, whatever black women may have heard that, who may have been affected by it, who may have felt cut down, who may have wished that those two black men defended them, whether it was a joke or not, right? Whoever had that wound, just maybe they hear me, and for once they was like, man, at least that dude stood up for us.
And
at least somebody who had that experience stood up for it.
That must have felt good for some people.
I didn't care to paint you in any way, which is why I didn't continue talking about you.
It doesn't really matter what your intention was. It matters how you make someone feel. That's what the whole issue is with the joke. Like, if you said, I didn't care to do this, I don't care about you, none of that matters. It didn't matter that I didn't care to hurt black women. I just wanted to make a joke. It hurt them. So it doesn't matter whether you cared to do something or not. What matters is you did something and it had that effect. So ironically, the thing that you're describing to me is the same position you put yourself in. So what I'm trying to tell you is people are going to react however they react, and they feel however they feel, and that's okay. Like, as a comedian, I accept that. I hope that people maybe learn more about me and they see that, like, I don't have bad intentions for people, and I make fun of everybody, because if I don't make fun of one group, then it becomes uncomfortable. Then it starts to become racist or sexist or whatever, you know? I hope that they learn that. But I understand as I get there, we're gonna have these little things that we stumble across, and, like, unfortunately, people's feelings are gonna be hurt, and it sucks. And if, like, anybody came up to me like, hey, that thing that you said, you know, I didn't know you were joking, it didn't feel like you were joking, it really hurt my feelings, I'd be like, dude, I'm sorry, I don't wanna hurt your feelings again. But if then they said to me, hey, don't you ever make jokes about that again, I go, I can't let you control what I make jokes about.
It sounds like he's contradicting himself, because he's saying that I'm going to make jokes about what I make jokes. But then at the end of the day, people have the right to feel what they feel, and this, that, and the third. It's like, just say, you know what you mean to say, which is, I don't care. I'm going to continue making jokes. Like, I just feel like the whole interview was just like him trying to, I mean, I get it. He was trying to let people know, like, I'm a better person, this and that. But it's like, bro, if you just stand on what the hell you're going to say, so it doesn't confuse everybody.
It's a PR move. Go ahead, True.
I would love for the black women on this panel to educate me on what it is to protect black women in a position of this manner, because I heard that stated.
Who stated that? You talking about the panel?
Well, I'm speaking to the panel. It was stated that the gentleman, I don't know his name, the NFL player, he said standing up for black women. And then it was also echoed from Andrew to state the same thing. You know, you would stand up, you would protect. It would feel good, because he said that, you know, you don't know how it feels for black women to hear this. I'm not a black woman, so
yeah, I think that. So, I think that the outrage comes from. I don't know if you guys are on like social media, like TikTok or Twitch or like things like that. But what we see a lot on these platforms, especially on social media, is a lot of degrading the black woman. It's been very common, especially when they have these panels and these topics, and the topics are always this passport bro type topic. Black women are you know, evil, or, you know, dodge the black woman, always demeaning the black woman. So I think that it did get taken personally, and I get what you guys are saying too. Like, it's a joke, right? Which it is. You're not lying. It is a joke. But I think that they just took it a little bit more personally, because they feel like they're being attacked too frequently, and they don't feel that they're being backed up as far as like, hey, like, at what point are we going to say something nice about a black woman? Or at what point are we going to say how much we love our black women, or things like that? And I can only say that. The reason why I'm saying that is because I'm really active on social media, and I can literally scroll down my For You page and show you almost everything on there is someone having some type of topic about black women being not good people or not the right choice to pick. And I can literally screenshot them and send them to you guys. It is bad. It is bad.
You know, that's curated to what it is that you pay attention to and look at.
I don't. I block them every time. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
Well,
a lot of times
that's not how the algorithm works, especially on Instagram. If you were to go to on your For You or Explorer page right now and find something that's solely about lifting up Black families, the Black man, the Black woman, if you stay on that for a while, then your entire algorithm from being on is going to show everything that you was just looking at.
No, I understand what you're saying respectfully. Like, I understand. I'm not sitting here engaging in those things. I'm not sitting here clicking on them like, oh, I want to talk about this, that, and a third. The thing is, that is what's popping up. I have other things I watch. I prefer to watch other things like crime shows, co-ops, stuff like that. That's what I prefer to see. And I'm actually kind of glad that TikTok might be going away in April. But at the end of the day, I'm just stating why I feel a lot of women, especially Black women in general, why they get upset with certain things, what it is that they're seeing, what it is that they're experiencing. And I think that it did get taken a little personal when he did say that. And to answer your question, True, where you're like, well, how do we stand up for you guys? I think all they want is just to be shown a little bit more love. You know, I mean, that's me because I've been through it. Like, I go through it all the time. I'll literally go on the street. I literally got called an N-word, a Black B word by someone that I just know. It's crazy out here. And I hear it too frequently. I hear it very frequently, too frequently. So I'm just stating what I've been through and what I've experienced and why I didn't really care for the joke and answering your question. But I mean, if you find it's wrong, what I'm saying is incorrect, then by all means.
Any other one that want to respond? Fine, peace.
I just think that you protecting. We've been screaming protect Black women for a long time. So the fact that you have to ask us what that looks like how you would protect your mom or your sister. Like if someone was to say negative things about your mom, your sister, your grandma, your auntie, I expect for you to handle it the same way. Like I said, I didn't know this happened. I don't get in an uproar with things that I see on social media. I took a mental note. I don't follow this man. I don't know his name. But when I think, when I take a mental note, I just unfollow that person, or I'm not gonna. That didn't never popped up on my algorithm. So I'm like certain things never pop up for me. So I never would have even known this happened. But when I do see things like this, I agree with Kelly that we see so much and hear so much bad things about women. Even on this panel today, it was kind of like the whole point was to find a way for it to be okay for them to say these things like, oh, it's all in fun. Even with me saying, well, let's reverse it and let's have them out here saying the opposite about y'all is still going to be a joke and all in fun. I would still be offended if they said it about Black men. So to me, it wouldn't have mattered either way. To me, that was an offensive thing to try and say, right? It was a microaggression towards Black people. And so I said, I identified that. I didn't like it. That's the way I interpreted it. And I'm just like, I'm not interested in speaking to that person or hearing from that person again. That's just the way my brain thinks.
Can you elaborate on how it was microaggressive?
I feel like it was microaggressive.
Like what does that mean?
To me, to make light of something and say something as a joke in a joking way when it's nothing to be making light of. To me, that's a microaggression to me. Because he's literally making light of something that's really not funny. So that's why I said I can understand what you said, like you like dark humor, but I just didn't find the humor in that. And I feel like he was trying to make light of a serious situation because that's serious to say. Like a Black woman got punched you in the face. Like, okay, that's kind of serious to me. And only because, like Kelly said, we have been seeing so much bad stuff about Black women. We're constantly defending ourselves. We're constantly trying to say, hey, not me. I don't do these things. We're constantly saying these things. And it's always like a ping pong game, right? Y'all have horror stories. Miss Taken have horror stories. I have horror stories. I know somebody personally that took their ex they was in court, and the man was like, I just pay what I owe because I don't like her, and I don't never want to see that kid again. We not together.
What?
Right? Watch my friend break down, and we're like, why would you say that? Done. Never seen the girl for 15 years. Don't, he wasn't playing for real. He was serious. Pay on time and everything. So what we've experienced
what does that mean?
I mean, he didn't want nothing. It's men out there that just really don't want nothing to do with their kids. Like everybody ain't fighting for their kids.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think that is the lowest of the low for a man to walk away from his kids.
That's so low, yeah.
But as we talked about earlier, when men are put in these positions to where they have to literally fight to do it, and they get to the point where it's like, all right, you know what? I'll just wash my hands. What else was going on in that situation to get to that point? Because it's easy to say, oh, what he did was horrible, but what was she doing to even get the situation to that point? I think that's something that needs to be acknowledged as well, right?
I agree with that.
I just don't think that nobody could do that when it came to my child. I mean, I don't know. Maybe y'all feel like
so he has to. So basically, this man has to endure every single thing that this woman could possibly put him through, and he still has to. You got to fight harder. That's what we're saying.
I don't feel like he fought hard. I feel like he's doing the tab. I mean, that's you know what I'm saying? I feel like he should have. I mean, after a long 15 years, he came back, but like it was late as hell to have a child. But I was right there and I witnessed it, and she was a good person, and I just don't know why he.
Okay, so if you witnessed it, then tell us what was happening before that, because something had to happen before that.
To this day, I'm confused. I just don't know why he did that. I just assumed like, okay, maybe he just didn't ever want kids, or it was weird.
I don't want y'all to
experience stuff like that. That's traumatic. That's a traumatic experience.
But I don't want y'all to get lost. I asked the question specifically, like you said, you asked me, Aisha, to pose the question. I'm curious. I really am curious. What does it look like to protect Black women from the perspective of Black women?
It's not to continue the narrative that Black women that's perpetuated on social media about Black women. It's to not continue that narrative and to keep repeating it and saying it over and over to change the thing, because that's what I do when it comes to Black men, right? I don't keep perpetuating those narratives. I can say a lot of bad shit about Black men, right? We could go tit for tat all day. I don't do it.
You do get on here and say some bad shit about Black men.
I mean,
come on now.
I don't do it though. Honestly, only because you guys like to go in on Black women. So then I find out y'all do the same thing. And I always say that. I'm like, it's the same on both ends. When you see me on social media, when you see me, you're never going to see me talk bad about Black men, ever.
All right, let's go ahead and spread that mic, y'all. Let's go get some other folks in there. Let's get Vaughn and Luis in there too, y'all.
I was called a whole bully at one time.
I hate you've done a lot better.
You hear? Y'all heard? Yes, she said it again.
All right, let me get some extra chats in right quick before we go to Vaughn Luis. AP Accountability Party $5 says, so Viz, the white small hat comedian, can say ninja if it's his joke.
That's such a reach.
Jerome $20 says, when are Black women going to take up arms for about what's been said about Black men for over 40 years, plus even from Black women? AP Accountability Partner $10 says, real talk, gentlemen, every one of you dismissed the joke about DV perpetuated by Black women. It's very disappointing, guys. It wasn't funny, clever, nor thought-provoking. Sorely disappointed. SS Gang Kills 499 says, if Dave Chappelle was white, would his R. Kelly PP joke still be funny? Jokes are jokes. It's never funny when the joke is about you. And lastly, AP Accountability Partner $5 says, have we become so jaded and numb by our experiences that we can't recognize that something is inappropriate? Damn, I'm disappointed for real. Go ahead, Vaughn, and then Louise.
For me, I'm gonna have to say I understand how Black women could get offended. Personally, I'm not. So I wouldn't go as far as to say I needed to be protected in this situation. I really don't care. I feel like it's a personal preference. Either I like this comedian or I don't. We do hear a lot of things about us Black women, and it's a lot of things that we're defending on an everyday basis. However, I do not agree with as far as like when it comes to a comedian, like anything goes. I'm either I'm going to listen to you, or I'm not. So some people are going to be offended, some people are not. So it's a personal preference to me. Isha and Callie were offended by it, but at the same time, you're going to keep moving on with life. Like me, I'm not offended at all. It doesn't bother me not one bit. I can listen to any joke from anybody, and it's like, okay, either I'm gonna take it or leave it. Like I'm gonna move on. These are the comedians I like, and these ones over here I won't listen to. I just never been offended by any of the jokes, racist jokes. Do I agree with it? No. Do I sympathize with it? I absolutely do, and I understand, but I don't care. So it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, go ahead, Louise. I know Aisha's pissed off at you, Vaughn, but go ahead, Louise.
Yeah, I mean, comedy has always been sort of the lens that bridges a lot of cultures with each other. If we've gotten to a place where we could joke around but still shed some light in terms of the context of the joke, I think it allows people to kind of grow and evolve. I don't want people to kind of, walk away and feel offended about everything because, life is just too short. And sometimes you got to laugh at certain things because, there's some truth into it. And then sometimes there's the irony. But hopefully that, people can still revolve around each other and talk about the most difficult conversations. Because I think, again, at the end of the day, I think it's about having the more difficult conversations than it is about attempting to land a funny joke.
Go ahead, True. I know if you want to go ahead. Who's that?
Yeah, it still doesn't. Thank you, ladies, for answering. My position is always going to be this, just so it's not confused. I understand myself and most of us on this panel are Black or connected to the Black community, but it still boggles my mind that we put so much weight on the Blackness of the community instead of the factors of us being good men, good women, good people. That's my stance. So that's why sometimes I may pose a question like I'm trying to be jarring and I'm not. I literally am confused how most of us as individuals who I think are smart carry so much weight. And the only people that I see that put a lot of weight on recognize my Blackness is Black people, because I'm with all kinds of people. And I don't see that to be so much of a, like, see me, respect me this way, act this way. I don't see that. And I'm around all kinds of people. So that's where, to me, gets really murky. He said something in the response that there's a wound and we need healing. And if you pour peroxide on the wound, you can't expect it not to hurt. And that's where, again, that's why I asked the Black women, because I know, brothers, we have our position on it, but it seems, just my opinion, a lot of Black men don't seem to carry the same type of energy. We're trying to get somewhere progressively. Whereas the women seem to be like, no, there's pain, there's hurt, recognize it. And we'll remind you that there's pain and hurt and to recognize it. But I digress.
I understand what you're saying, True. And, that's your perspective and opinions. Me personally, I don't look to anyone to fight my battles or stand up for me. I just stand up for myself. So if someone asks me, did you like that? I'm like, not really. I didn't really care for it. Why? Well, because I've heard it all my life. So it's just like, for me, I guess for me, I get told things so many times about being black or being mixed or being this and being that. And I just get tired of it. I'm just like, bro, okay, cool. Like, I'm not letting it soak into my mind where it's affecting my day to day and I can't function. I'm just seeking all this validation and stuff like that. No. But it's just like, if I don't care for something, I'm just going to be honest and be like, I didn't really care for it. And if you ask me why, I'm going to be like, because I hear this all the fucking time. That's just kind of how it goes for me. I'm not really like sitting here making this big old deal saying like, oh, now we got to raise hell and cancel him and this and that. I even said, he's a comedian. He's going to say what he's going to say. But like Vaughn said, am I going to sulk on it? No, I'm just going to block him or not watch any other stuff and then move the hell on, because that's just what life does.
How you feeling, Aisha? Got your arms folded, looking at your body language.
No, I feel good. I mean, I think that, you know, I understand Truth's point, but I don't think that any of us are soaking in it. I think that it's okay to recognize the facts. And I think that sometimes we have to do that on a panel. And I feel like I was just recognizing the fact that I didn't like it and I thought that it had a negative connotation to me. And everybody, you know, people felt differently. But it wasn't nothing like how I'm about. I don't even know who this man is, but I think that people should recognize it. But you don't necessarily have to like call it out, but like be able to recognize that like everybody is not on the same page. You know, sometimes you are the butt of the joke, you know. So I think that it's okay to like recognize it, but you shouldn't sulk in it. And it's also okay to laugh. Like if it's funny, laugh. But I didn't find it funny. And I guess I didn't find it funny because Black women have always and still are always getting it hard. We stay on the defense. We're always having to defend ourselves.
But to be fair, it's Black men too. Like, I'm not going to sit on this panel and be like, oh, Black women are the only one that go through it. You know what I mean? Black people as a whole, we as a whole, we go through it. And, you know, it's just one of those things where it's just like, you know, even if the situation was geared towards a Black man, I probably would have still reacted the same, because I have a Black brother who I'm very close with, and I've stuck up for him multiple times when we were in school and people would try to bully him. So I don't know. Maybe you're right though, True. Maybe I am stuck in this mindset where it's like, you know, Black people need to move forward and this and that, or, you know, this, whatever the case may be. But for me, I don't know. Some things I find funny, some things I don't. But the only reason why I'm talking about it is because I'm on this panel.
I do have a question to pose. I know Callie said it's all Black people. Aisha said Black women seem to be the butt of the jokes all the time. Why do you think Black women are often the center of controversial conversations in media?
You said Aisha or Callie?
This is for the panel. I would just stand you guys two stands. I know you said it's Black people. It's not just Black women. Aisha said that Black women seem to be the center and be the butt of the joke a lot of the time. So why do you think Black women are often the center of controversial conversations in the media? Anyone on the panel can respond.
Because they're going to draw the biggest response. Is going to get the biggest response across the board. That's why.
I agree. Like True said, we are like the headlines. Like we're like a lot of people are trying to top us. Like we do a lot of things, like as far as sports, talent, different talents. Like we are somewhat the thing to beat. So I feel like that's why.
Well, the thing about it, it's all good when it's in a positive manner, right? It's all good when they're getting uplifted and when they're getting praised or when they're getting the accolades. It's all good. But they don't like it when that negative side. I give you an example. You remember the tennis player, that young girl, what's her name? Coco Brown? Coco, I don't know her last name. It's a golf Coco. I don't know what her last name is. It's irrelevant. But
okay, Louis.
Yeah, I thought the last name was Golf.
Coco Golf. Okay. I don't know if y'all remember how there was a time when, Coco Golf. There was a time when she was having issues You know what I'm saying? She wasn't doing well. And the reporter asked her, why was she playing well? Well, you know, and then she had a whole fit. She was mad because they was messing with her mental when they was asking these questions. And she's to the point that she didn't want to do the interviews no more because they was messing with her mental. But when she was doing good and they was praising her and left her, making her, you know, female tennis player of the week or the year or the month. Oh, it was all good then. Oh, I want all this attention. You know, saying that all the attention came your way, you was cool with it. But now when it's on the other side and they are criticizing you and they are critiquing you and they are on your ass, you don't like that. Now I said, no, y'all stay away. Y'all stay away. No, look, you can't have it both ways. The good comes with the bad. Now, we all know certain stereotypes. There's some truth to certain stereotypes, right, guys? Let's be mature about it. There is some truth to certain stereotypes, right? So, you know, stop living up to them stereotypes. How about we change the narrative? You know how we can do it? By doing something different. Don't go out here wearing bonnets. Young dudes don't need to be going out here sagging their goddamn pants. Then they won't have that certain stuff. Don't be out there wearing these shiesty masks. Looking like you ready to do something, but you ain't. But you just thought it was cool to wear a goddamn robber's mask. Like, it's what the hell? How about we change the narrative? Do something different.
They be wearing them stupid things to the restaurants too. I noticed
everywhere.
But that's what I'm speaking to, Hink. Like, I appreciate you. It's this again. It could be privilege because I've only been on the planet 30 some odd years. Most of the time when I'm walking around in the earth and I'm around all their kind of demographics of people, no one comes up to me and says, you're black. No one shifts energy because they can clearly see I'm, you know, my color, right? So this is where I observe when I'm around my people, my community of people, there is a command that we like want people to understand we're here. Not just visually, just in energy and presence. And then on the flip side, it's like, well, if it comes with something, then you're upset. That's the part I don't get. And to Hink's point, if it's positive, no crickets, we're good. But if it's negative, it's like, that's the part that I get lost. I really do. And I'm trying. That's why I appreciate these panels. You find people, because some things I just don't get.
Hank, I have a question. You said that it was a lady that she was getting criticized for like how she was playing and then she crashed out. Is that what happened? I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure I understood what you said just so I can, you know.
She didn't really crash out, but she had was crying and like she had a nervous breakdown. And so for a while she stopped doing where she was put a petition out for the golf. I mean, well, not the golf, but the tennis, whatever their organization is, that they don't have to do interviews, but that's part of their job that they have to do interviews.
Do interviews, yeah.
So,
well, I'll agree with you. Like that was wrong because, like, the reason why I'm saying that's because I did MMA for like 10 years. Like I did jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and I would be in like situations where people would go and they would get criticized on something or told something by the coach, and then they would literally like just like start having attitude or act like they're a thing. And I realize that's with a lot of just like sports people in general. So I'm just trying to really understand, like, are you guys saying that like Black women don't know how to like take accountability, or just trying to get a better understanding, gentlemen?
I'll say it from this point and I'll land. There's times that there's restaurants that I observe a group of people that look like us. We've been waiting. I'm waiting amongst people. Then they'll walk in and been there 2 minutes while we've been there 20. And because they're a group of Black people, they automatically assume that there is a disrespect of service instead of observing the landscape. And that's kind of what I mean. That attitude seems to carry in a lot of ways. And a lot of times it's not because they're Black. A lot of times it's just the circumstance of what's occurring. It's not always personal.
So are you trying to figure out like why they act that way? Like where is that stemming from?
Yes. From a defensive standpoint, unless it is blatant I know Aisha, and I appreciate Aisha. She said microaggression, and this is maybe her personal interaction with someone, so I can't speak to that. But it always seems to go back to that. That is not microaggression. Just we're all in the same boat in a example I'm using of a restaurant. We've been waiting. You just got here, and because you walked in with 4 people who are black, all of a sudden they're not adhering to you based on what you observe. But where's that coming from? Because that's not always the case. It's not always because you're black, and we carry this. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
To be honest, I don't even know. I don't know. Like I don't know why people react the way they do. There probably is a bunch of reasons, and there are probably people in the chat that could answer that question a lot better than I can. But what I do know is that I think that just from me, how I used to be, I used to take things way more personal than I should have. And what I learned about that is it was more of something that I was internalizing, that I took something that I should have just made the decision to not do so. And I think that sometimes when people go through things, especially, do you see them more predominantly in like urban areas, or do you see them more in suburban areas? I guess before I state my next statement.
I see it collectively. It usually lines service based, like I observed a young lady who was in a bonnet a few months ago. We were waiting. She walked up in a bonnet. She was there 2 minutes and she immediately started yelling and screaming and cursing, demanding service and saying she was being disrespected. But there was 8 people in front of her who was experiencing the same thing. And it was like, where does that come from? Like,
I think it comes from because a lot of, and I think every single one of you can answer, as a childhood, you probably went through a lot of racist shit. And I guess when you get older, you kind of don't really know how to differentiate between true racism and just someone that just thinks that the world owes them everything because of what we went through as a culture or what you went through as a kid. And that's where I'm getting at. And that's why I wanted to be very clear, because I try to really be really clear on my words. A lot of times when people are acting in a certain manner, it's because they're not able to regulate their emotions based on whatever trauma it is they went through as a kid or whatever trauma they went through collectively. And that's why you'll hear like a lot of people will bring up slavery or will bring up other things. And it's because there are people that don't really know how to differentiate true racism and just kind of feeling like you're owed something because of something that happened either in the past or that happened as a collective. And I think that's one thing we have to differentiate.
Callie, the problem with that is the very people that True is talking about will walk into a black establishment and act the very exact same way. So,
and a lot of that's influenced by TV.
It's easy to blame racism and what people may have experienced growing up. I grew up in Chicago in a mixed area, right? So the racism that I may have experienced, it wasn't like a direct racism. Motherfucker might lock their car doors or something when I'm walking up. Okay, cool. I get it. Niggas be carjacking, especially during the pandemic time period, right? So there's certain things that, does it bother me? Sure. But am I going to get all uptight about it? Absolutely not, because it's for what? That's not going to do me any good. But to your point, to True's point, is that the same exact people that will do that in a white establishment will do that in a black establishment, in a Chinese establishment, in a Mexican establishment. So I personally don't think that that's directly tied to racism or what it is that they experience. Is more so tied to them feeling entitled to, because I'm black, you have to treat me like this, or because I'm me, not even because I'm black, because I'm me. Do you know who I am? This is what they would say. Do you know who I am? You know who my brother is? Like this is the mentality that we got to deal with people.
Yeah.
So
And I'm not saying it's right. Like, I'm not saying that, like, oh, we should act this way because we went through this. The only thing that I'm stating what makes sense in my mind is because they've been psychologically trained to think that they're better, that we are better than everybody else. And I think that that's where it's a sense of entitlement. Like, that's where it comes from. And, we got to get to a point where we're all freaking human. And it is wrong if anyone goes into a restaurant and demands a specific level of service just because you exist in this world. Like, that's just false. But I was just trying to answer the question from what made sense psychologically for myself is like, hey, like, maybe they just have some trauma, or maybe they're just not able to, maybe they're just feeling like they have some type of sense of entitlement for whatever reason. I don't freaking know. The only thing that makes sense is because there's probably trauma. At the end of the day, does that make it right? No. But you asked a question and I just wanted to, no, I get that. Everybody has trauma, but not everybody knows how to deal with it. Not everybody knows how to deal with it in a healthy way. Not everybody understands how to have coping skills and emotionally regulate and things of that nature. So what do? They crash out. They take everything so personal to where they embarrass themselves. And then we have this other type of social media where it's okay to act that way and people are laughing about it and people are accepting it. So no one's checking the attitude. Everyone's thinking that, oh, this is funny, or oh, this is cool, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do the same. Out here in California, you can go down the block and steal something, and as long as it's under $1,000, your ass ain't getting put to jail. So at the end of the day, if everyone's expecting it and everyone doesn't care, they're just gonna do whatever the hell they want to do. We are gonna do what the hell we want to do because we can get away with it. That's why they're doing it.
All right. It's about that time, man. Anybody got a couple final thoughts before we get up out of here? Anybody? All right. Well, we're going live tomorrow. Before you do that, we're going live tomorrow for the Thursday show. I'm pretty sure that's going to be going longer than anticipated. So go ahead, Hink. And I know I used to go hang around that entire time. So
I'm afraid to say it because you might call me a bully again, but that's okay. I can accept that. Black man, protect yourself at all times, man. Whether you got to get on somebody's couch or somebody's Zoom meeting, man, get your mind right, man. Guys, get your A1C in order, blood work, go get a full physical, take care of yourself. We only get one shot at this goddamn thing. We only get one shot on this earth, man. Do what you got to do. And a man of a certain age, like JR, myself, and Vid's old ass, man, go get your colonoscopy and your prostate check, man. Colon cancer, motherfucker, man. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You old, Viz. I mean, you just got to admit that.
Super Chats Prophecy to Save It. $20 says, understand about protecting our image, but why do we pick and choose when to pick Black women to continue to perpetuate the image themselves by participating and supporting shows that have hyper aggressive Black women fighting? Prophecy again, $20 says, how many shows do Black women watch and gossip about that shows the same things they say they want to be protected from, to the point it is being monetized? There are numerous ones. SS Gang Kills 499 says, so Will Smith was protecting Jada when he slapped Chris Rock over a G.I. Jane joke. Prophecy to Savior, $10 says, I hate all the BS about how we are shown in the media. I do not support that type of media, but I bet if we could see all y'all media history, I bet y'all watching the thing you say you hate. Shaking my head. The Will 499 also, remember, true, the answer to your question is, as a group of people, we are extremely insecure. And Prophecy to Savior, $20 says, so we all forgot the Black woman dancing and twerking on a Black-owned restaurant's table that was in Dallas. Kitchen and cocktails and chairs, and Black women getting made at the owner of the caller and the owner for calling out the BS. But let's pretend we are not showing our ass. This is true. I see what you guys see. I do see a lot of women in public with bonnets on. Not all, but I'm still surprised when I see them and they have no fear. That is a new fear that's unlocked the way people act, because they don't see it as being an issue. And they probably grew up like that. Like, I'm pretty sure we have some of our parents' habits as well. And when you try to call them out on it, they're not going to receive it well, because to them, that's what they all been around. You got some people that just stay in a bubble. And I say bubble meaning the block or the blocks, where they stay within a radius. They have not traveled. They have not seen how other people function. So to them, that's their norm. I do understand. I grew up in the era with you, Viz, where jokes were jokes. One thing that I have learned when it comes to communication and trying to understand people is that people be feeling out here. People be feeling, both men and women. And we seen the last night on King Talk. You know, people feel. And the one thing that I know that people don't like is when their feelings are invalidated. So there's going to be people that love you and hate you. And regardless, that's just the way life is going to be. So you either can choose a side. If you're going to go full demon, then just be full demon. If you're going to be full Christian or religious, then go be that. It don't matter what you do, there's going to be somebody that's going to have a problem with it. They're going to say you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You're religious today, but then after midnight, your ass is a straight demon. That being said, hit that like button. Also, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. And we'll catch y'all next time. We live tomorrow, man. We live tomorrow.